Hello everybody, it is the Death Song here, and today I am announcing for my 100th video a world building project I have been conjuring up for since August actually. I've been working on this for a long time. And it is the Draconic Isles world building project is what I'm going to call it at least for now. This whole little project of mine revolves around my character, Death Song. As you know, that's my whole little stage name on YouTube, yes. If you've seen the openings and whatnot, the openings are kind of like the kind of the idea going for it. I kind of want to put it into seasons. Like season 1 is the opening 1, season 2 is opening 2, and whatnot. And also, I'm trying to make it completely original. Yes, completely original. So no overword crossover, no Eminence and Shadow crossover, no whatnots. Complete originality. Complete originality. So I'm going to start by saying the world. So first of all, the world is a donuts. I'm not lying. So as a reference, I'm going to take the Perplex Board trailer for My Singing Monster. I'm going to take that for a reference. Like when the Gobbledygore got shot up in the air and is revealed that the whole monster world is a donut. So I'm kind of taking inspiration into that. So the Draconic Isles itself is just one big donuts. And yeah, it's really cool. I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, oh, I'm just going to make it a normal sphere, like how Earth is. But you know what? After seeing that little trailer, I was like, you know what? It would make more sense if I made it a donut. Almost like a racetrack. Not really a donut. More like a racetrack almost. Pretty much I'm getting at a walking track. And walking track for what? That's for the land masses. You see, we have the continents here. We have Earth as the planets. And we have the continents such as Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Australia, Europe, Asia, so on and so forth. So the land masses or I guess the continental land masses, are known as the colossals. So the colossals are these giant colossal creatures, as you can tell by their name, colossal, with land masses all across their backs. And there are different types of colossals. There are 4 in total that are still alive. There was a 5th one, but that one died due to more or less unknown causes. The other 3 are still alive and kicking, with all of them having different areas, also known as different landmarks in the Draconic Isles itself. There still are islands, like the normal islands you see. There still are islands. And these islands are where some other dragon tribes live, but we'll get on to the dragon tribes in another video. This is all about the world, the areas, and the power source of this realm. So, the colossals, they don't have mouths. For example, they don't have mouths because they feed on the photosynthesis and energy creation of the little land masses on them. That's pretty much to sum it up. That's pretty much to sum up the whole thing with the colossals. And there is the Titan Colossal, the smallest with the most land masses on its back. The Amber Colossal, I want to say the largest of them, with a giant mountain on its back, known as Mount Zora, which is also home to a majority of the Amberwings, another dragon tribe that I've conjured up. And then the Blood Colossal. The Blood Colossal is where Bloodwings live, along with a few Spellwings, but the majority of the time it's just the Bloodwings. And also, I'm giving them Titan Colossal, Amber Colossal, Blood Colossal. That's what most dragons call them, but that's not their real name. They don't really have actual names. Or I guess they will be. I kind of want to come up with that later on. But so far, I actually don't have a set name for each colossal, so I'm going to call them the Titan Colossal, Amber Colossal, and Blood Colossal. So then there's the Dragon Colossal. That's also just a placeholder name. And that one is the only one with no dragon settlements, aside from the fortress. And the fortress is where the man, the myth, the legend, the Death Song, that's pretty much where he lives. Because the whole lore is that he's the Emperor of the Draconic Isles and whatnot. And I'll get on to the lore in a different video Right now, it's just about it. And then there was the Frenzy Colossal, the fifth Colossal that I said that had died. That one died through, I want to say, unknown causes as of right now. Because its death has seemingly been wiped from Dragon history books. And that's why I want to keep it for a bit. Who knows? Maybe I'll reveal it at some point. So, you got the world, and you got the landmasses, the Colossals, and just, there are like other islands and places. Now it's time to get on the freaking, time to get on the power source. So, there are three things actually, that drive the power source of the Draconic Isles. Primordial Essence versus and evolution. You see, I'm going to start with Primordial Essence. Primordial Essence is the life essence of all living beings. Every living being, from the tiniest of insects to even some plants, have Primordial Essence. And there are some dragons that are born with more Primordial Essence than others. But every single dragon is capable of harnessing Primordial Essence, but most of the time, or I guess it's more uncommon, not really most of the time, uncommonly, some dragons are born with more Primordial Essence than others. And so, they become priests more efficiently, or more easily. So priests are the names of dragons that are capable of using Primordial Essence to the pinnacle, and are capable of using verses. So verses are kind of like Bible verses, which is why they're called priests. So you have to speak a verse in order to gain the technique with it. So, as an example, Death Song's technique, or Death Song's verse, Mutation, the verse for Mutation is, nothing will ever be beautiful. Beauty is abstract. There we go. And that's unleashes Mutation, which is a technique that I'm not going to get into because that's about a whole different character, but we're not about that. So yeah, you have to speak the verse in order to gain the technique. But that also has to tie with your vocal cords, because vocals is also another very important thing in the Draconic Isles. If you can't, the stronger the verse, the more powerful, like the more of a toll it takes on your vocals. And if you can't speak, you're pretty much nerfed if you're able to speak, or if you can't speak, I mean. Pretty much nerfed if you can't speak. If you're mute, you're gonna get a big limiter. You're gonna get a very big limiter if you can't speak in the Draconic Isles at all. So you have to have strong vocals in order to wield stronger techniques. So, really, and there's also the occasion of evolution. So I've been over the Primordial Essence, the life essence, and whatnot. Every dragon is able to do it. And with verses and vocal cords on how they're used. How you're used and how you can activate your technique. The stronger the verse, the more it takes a toll on your vocal cords, and the more Primordial Essence you need. Along with, I'll get into that later. Then there's evolution. Evolution is the pinnacle. Evolution is when you sacrifice your own body, or not really sacrifice, more or less sacrifice your Primordial Essence. Sacrifice the Primordial Essence you're capable of using, and imbue that into your body. Imbue that into the Primordial Essence that you need. Because there's usable essence and non-usable essence. Usable essence is like the stuff that you use to speak the verses and use your techniques, along with domain expansion, which I'm going to get into a lot later. But unusable Primordial Essence is pretty much your life essence as a whole. If you get into that, you're pretty much decreasing years of your life. So, by imbuing your life essence with your usable Primordial Essence, pretty much is making your body stronger, your body gets stronger, and so you evolve, also known as gaining a new body, and therefore a new consciousness. And as a result, most of the time priests that are new to evolution have to try to suppress this secondary evolutionary consciousness because it pretty much just acts on instinct and it does not know how to think for itself. So it just acts on instinct. So you have to try to find out how to suppress it by using your more primordial essence. So it takes a lot to be able to evolve. And there's another thing that almost every, not really almost, but every priest is capable of using. And that's simple domain. Simple domain is pretty much a priest is capable of forming a radius around themselves, and thus it's almost a reflection of how they are along with their verse, along with the verse they use. So for Death Song, his simple domain was graveyard. A radius around himself around 10 feet in diameter. 10 feet diameter, 5 feet radius. It summoned up to 30 skeleton dragons. Summoned up to 30 skeleton dragons at once. And if you try to kill one of them, you're like, oh, okay. Like, if you were to kill one of them, then they're dead. But after a little bit, they will come back because it will constantly just keep summoning skeletons until the maximum is 30. Once it hits 30, it doesn't summon any more skeletons. But it's just natural instinct to keep summoning them. So the only way to break a simple domain is to just harm the user enough that it breaks, which is pretty simple. Simple domains aren't that hard to destroy, because it's pretty much a simple punch to the face. If you punch someone hard enough, the simple domain will break. That's kind of the reference here. So domain expansions. There are 3 types of domains: border domains, borderless domains, and pocket domains. So what a domain is in general, I'm always going to talk about border domains, but I'm going to talk about the domain in general. A domain expansion is pretty much the evolution of a simple domain. Like I said earlier, Death Song's his simple domain was graveyard, but now his domain expansion is eternal eclipse. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the domains themselves. Border domains are pretty much the normal domain. They can either be lethal or non-lethal. Most of the time they're non-lethal. Border domains are non-lethal most of the time. Yeah. So you already know. If you've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, you'll pretty much know that's pretty much the normal domain expansion there. It's pretty much the classic domain expansion, but it's an evolution of the simple domain, so it makes it a little bit better in my eyes. But if you were to evolve and refine your domain a lot more, imbue more primordial essence to it, you're capable of breaking that barrier and making it a borderless domain. So a borderless domain is pretty much, again, Jujutsu Kaisen-esque style domain expansion. But it's kind of different on how you gain one. These are domains that are capable of manifesting themselves, like, in general. Because when a border domain breaks, the domain inside breaks, obviously. But these ones are capable of manifesting themselves, so the only way to really destroy them is to harm the user as much as you can. I'm talking, they have to have at least a limb missing for you to break a borderless domain. Or if they're stronger than that, that sucks. Or you break the manifest point itself. Like most borderless domains don't have anything around except for one spot where it was manifested, which is usually has some kind of temple or statue or just something in the center of the domain. But then there's the third stage, pocket domains. Pocket domains are domains that are so refined and imbued with so much primordial essence that it pretty much brings the user and the opponents into a pocket dimension. Hence the name pocket domain. And in this little domain, it is like I said, is a complete. It's a mini dimension, a mini pocket dimension that forms as someone's domain expansion. Pocket domains are the most powerful domains out there, and only 2 characters I've made have been able to use it. One being Death Song's daughter, and I'll go into that later. So there are also, I want to say, for now I'm going to call them maximum techniques or whatnot, so you can call them whatever you want, but these are the pinnacles of what verses are. Almost like a paragraph. Like, you know, when you speak a sentence or a verse from one thing, it's always a paragraph or a page, like the biggest thing on the board, biggest thing on the page. And these are the pinnacle of the verse that you have collected or inherited or gained. However you gained or use your verse, this is the pinnacle of it. And these are the strongest versions of it. It takes a lot of primordial essence to sustain this, along with the domain. These supreme attacks are capable of destroying domains if the user of these attacks are strong enough. Like, the majority of the time, they only break border domains. But they could. It's a possibility that there is someone out there that's capable of breaking a borderless domain with their max technique. So that is all I have talked about. The world itself, which is the donuts, the land masses, which are the colossals, and the power source, which is primordial essence. So a quick recap on that is primordial essence is pretty much the life force of everyone. Every living thing in the Draconic Isles has primordial essence, and everyone is capable, or any dragon is capable of harnessing primordial essence, along with speaking verses, which are pretty much like normal verses that are capable of gaining or giving the one that says the verse the technique that goes with it. For example, mutation is beauty is imperfect, beauty is abstract. There are also maximum, or I want to say supreme techniques that are just the pinnacle of the normal technique you get from that verse. And there's domain expansions with bordered domains, borderless domains, and pocket domains, along with evolution itself, which is, well, almost the pinnacle of being a priest. If you can't evolve, if you can't evolve your body, you're kind of, I want to say cooked. You're kind of cooked if you can't evolve your body. But there's one thing I didn't mention, and that is songs. Songs, well, like I said, the stronger the verse, it takes a more toll on your vocal cords, so you have to have some pretty strong vocals in order to sing some pretty powerful verses. Then there's songs. Yes, I am adding this. Yes, dragons sing fights. They sing fight, yes. They sing as they fight him. That's because whatever song they sing is created by them themselves. And whatever song they sing reflects them. Therefore, when a dragon sings a song, it amplifies their abilities. Therefore, making them a lot stronger and making their technique and verse more refined. Along with their domain as well. If they sing the song as they're casting their domain. Songs are so powerful, in fact, that the majority of the time, there is a separation between priests and artists. Priests are your normal, like, wielders of primordial essence that speak verses, but then there's artists. Artists that instead of speaking verses, they imbue their primordial essence into songs and thus create their own technique while the song is, well, being sung. When they're singing a specific song, they could get stronger from it or gain an extra technique. But most of the time, it is an extra technique. So, yeah, there are songs, and artists, and priests, and verses. Also, artists are capable of using domain expansion along with their simple domains. Oh, I don't think I brought this up, but if you were confused, if someone has a domain expansion, then they don't have a simple domain because that simple domain has been evolved to their domain expansion. That's pretty much it. But yeah, next video, I'm going to go about talking about immortality. Part 2 is going to be about the immortalities, different types of immortal dragons that some can become. Then the next one is going to be all about the different dragon tribes. And then, finally, part 4, it's going to be about the characters themselves and what they do. You know, and I also might bring up a few things in part 2, like for example, archaic artifacts. Archaic artifacts, along with part 3 being about not just the dragon tribes but also the gatekeepers and the haven zone. So stay tuned for those 3 parts, which will be coming out. And again, like I want to say once a week, or maybe every 2 weeks if I'm that lazy. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.